Sorry about it being dark, but it gets dark at 5 o'clock here. This is my club car XRT 1550. It's a four-wheel drive. You see by the green fuel cap, it's powered by a diesel. This is a little Kubota D722, little 20 horsepower, 3-cylinder, great little engine. I've had the machine about 9 months. It's always started instantly, even cold. 5 seconds of glow plugs, and this thing lit off like practically right away. So the other day it cranked hard. The RPM was fine. It's got a new battery, but it took a long time to start. Next time I used it, it wouldn't start at all. It just cranked and cranked and cranked. So did what anybody else would do. I cracked an injector. Right here, you see the fuel. There was no fuel coming out. The first thing I did was I replaced this filter, and I put an inline pump here between this filter and between the water separator. And I hooked that to the battery temporarily, and I put 3 psi fuel pressure in the system, and I bled out the injection pump right to there, pure fuel. And I cranked, and I got nothing. So I kind of ruled out the air in the fuel, and I ruled out anything to do with the fact that I had fuel. So after that, I started looking around and kind of suspecting fuel solenoids right here. Those wires coming out of it, and you got an Allen on that side, 2 Allens. Those wires come up right here, come to this connector here. This is the connector right here. 3 wires, black, gray, and blue. Black wire is the ground. The gray wire is 12 volts while it's running. The blue wire is 12 volts while cranking. So I didn't hear any clicking from this thing when I turned it on or when I cranked. So I started digging through the harness and the book, seeing what needed what, and found out the blue wire is for cranking. I then used my power probe to test, and I found I do have power when the key's on. I've got ground when the key's on. When I'm cranking, I only got between 1 and 3 volts on the blue wire. But I do have some voltage. And when I apply the 12 volts to that wire, it starts right up. So this is just another way to do a little bit of diagnostics. One of these engines is pretty simple. I mean, I could have just unbolted the fuel solenoid, took it out, and then it would have probably started, because it holds the fuel solenoid actually holds in the fuel rod, and when you apply power, it releases the fuel rod. So anyhow, hope this video helps. The gray one is your running power, and the blue one on top is cranking power. And thanks to the Power Probe 3 I've got here hooked to my battery, I quickly found out that when I turn the key on, there's my gray wire. Key off, no voltage. Key on, got voltage. I've got voltage there. Quickly found out that I've got ground on the ground wire. So I've got both those. With the key on, I still have ground. However, when I go to crank, hope I can do this. There's a lot going on here at once. I'm going to crank this thing up in a second here. When I go to crank, I was only seeing 3 or 4 volts on the crank wire. Now, I don't think that's enough to allow it to open. It's running a little bit now. Let me see if it does it. Here we go. All right, you see that? 1.5 volts. That's not nearly enough. Now I'm going to try to figure out how to do this and hold my phone at the same time. So let me see how I can do this. All right. What I'm going to do here is use a third hand. This also shows you how nice this tool is for diagnostics. There's a need. This wire is supposed to have close to battery voltage on it while cranking. So we're in the blue wire now. And like I said, cranking this is supposed to have close to battery. Alright, I got the key on. Ready to go. I'm on the right wire. Now we're going to crank here. I'm on the blue wire. This is right to the fuel solenoid. And watch what happens. Test the other wire. That's our running wire. There's our crank wire. I don't know if anybody's seen that or not, but this power probe makes it so easy to diagnose something like this. This would be pretty difficult to diagnose with test light because the light is going to light up some. It'd just be dim. So I don't know where the problem is between here and this wire goes up into the harness down here and goes over to the starter, and it grabs the starter solenoid or the starter trigger wire. I believe it showed it actually attaches to the solenoid wire. So when power goes to engage the starter, it also goes over here to engage this. So I'll do this again just to show. Keys off. Keys now on. Okay. On the blue wire. Battery now by the starter. Did a little digging, and I found that this white wire comes off the bottom lug, not the top lug with all the connectors on it. The bottom lug goes to that connector, then turns blue and disappears downward. That, I believe, is the crank wire that comes up and is over here. So I'm going to check for voltage and see if I have low voltage here, or if I have a voltage drop across that blue wire. And if so, is it green? Is it corroded? I don't know, but I see a loop of blue wire down here. It is right here. That is the wire. So let's verify this is the wire. Let's verify the voltage here. I don't know if I can do this right now. I really need a GoPro or something to charge my GoPro up. Alright, in about 30 seconds, I kind of fixed this thing. I took the wire, disconnected it, and routed it up easier so I can get to it. And when I did, and I reconnected it, it must have just fixed the connection. Because this is not a weather sealed or weatherproof connection. And this machine gets run in dirt and mud and everything else. Over the years, the connection just got weak. So I think the thing to do is take it apart and use some dielectric grease on both sides of that and put it back together, or just cut both ends and put a new connector on it, but I'm not going to bother doing that. So I pulled it apart and I put it back together, and now it starts right up. And I didn't really see anything wrong with the connector, but the latch doesn't work on it. Let me see if I can get. Alright, setting the phone on the exhaust manifold. I'm just going to connect this again. Okay, we're connected. And Watch this. On. Just like that. And when I come back over here, put my voltmeter here. Watch the difference. 10 volts plus. Starts right up. This thing hasn't run in a week because it's been too dark and cold to look at it. We had a lot of snow, and I was really hoping to ride it in the snow because I've always had regular golf carts, and well, they don't go anywhere in the snow. And we had about a foot. This thing probably would have been a lot of fun, but I've been busy and I haven't had time to look at it. So, if you have one of these little Kubotas, check your fuel solenoid if it won't start. And you know you have fuel. You know you have fuel to the injection pump. Clean fuel, no air in it. You're positive of it. You can either unbolt your fuel solenoid and pull it away from the engine. That will let the fuel rod come out and it will start. Or you can try what I just did. Make sure you have your voltage on both of these terminals. Your crank voltage and your run voltage. So, anyway, hope this helps somebody out in one of these little engines. These things really run good, and really nothing goes wrong with them. This is a club car's deal. Just a poor connection for something that's exposed to the elements. That should have been a weather pack connector. So, this is also another machine. I mean, this machine's got some time on it, you know. Anyhow, everybody has a great day. Bye-bye.